Hello, hunters of man-eating sharks and bounties, coming to you from Burbank, California. This is the Film versus Film podcast. I am your host, Quinn Boys, joined, as always, by my fellow host and shark hunter, Leonard Smith Jr. Leonard, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on? Not gonna lie, it's a little tough doing this podcast while being chained to my bedpost, but handcuffed to my bedpost. But I'm here. I'm here.
You make it work.
And I'm hoping there's a light at the end of this tunnel. But I'm super excited for this episode. Oh boy. We kind of almost did this episode once before, but we did it wrong, I think.
This is a much clearer version of the episode that we were trying to do last season with Carl, which was, I don't even remember. Do you remember what the specific prompt was?
Movie you love movie everyone hates that you love?
Yeah.
Or
which is
movie you love. Which just means a bad movie.
Which kind of just meant a bad movie, and we messed it up because it wound up being whoever picked the worst movie won, which I got the win, and I was grateful for, but it was a painful process to get there. I think this week's prompt, which we should just reveal,
worst movie,
is cleaner and simpler and more fun.
Cleaner, simpler. We both know these movies are bad, but how bad are they? How much fun are they? Do you enjoy it? And we're going to find out. And we've got the expert with worst movies, comedian, funny guys on the season of SNL, Luke Noll.
Fellas, it's great to be here, and I love bad movies, so it was something that I was talking with Leonard about. I was like, oh, you got to do some awesomely bad flicks, and he explained that your kerfuffle previously is that you guys caught some heat because people are like, I like this movie. What do you mean we hate this movie? You know what I mean? Where it's like, no, you can celebrate terrible movies. You know what I mean?
Terrible movies should be celebrated. Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
And
I think they are the Razzies, right? Is that celebrated though?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, the ultimate Razzies move is when what's her name?
Halle Berry.
Catwoman. Halle Berry showed up with her Oscar to the Razzies. she showed up carrying her Oscar to the Razzies, which is very funny. To win worst
ultimate
actress.
Power move.
You got to respect it. Gotta respect. To show up and claim your Razzie is next level.
Well, we got two pretty bad movies. This one, I feel like one of the two everyone knows, and the other one, if you're black, you know it. So,
as is often the case with our picks.
Quinn, you want to start out?
Yeah. All right. Well, I think I picked the best worst movie of all time. I picked a movie. It's the best work movie of all time because it's a shark movie that's not Jaws. Any movie that's not Jaws that's about sharks is bad. I think they made that movie right once. They had everything they'd ever needed to say about the subject done. And then it was so popular it became a genre, but all the good ideas had been tapped. I'm talking, of course, about 1999's Deep Blue Sea, starring Samuel L. Jackson, Thomas Jane, Saffron Burrows. This is a movie about a bunch of scientists working out on a rig. It's like an oil rig, but higher tech, more advanced, out in the middle of the sea, where they have caged off an area to experiment on sharks to cure Alzheimer's, as you do.
And that is very important, that it is all for the plight of curing Alzheimer's.
That is a key point for this, both for the movie and for why it's such a bad movie, is that it is in the name of science, specifically curing Alzheimer's. They could have been so much vaguer about why they were doing
cancer,
it. You don't really
even. Why not cancer? No.
I think they needed to, that was like a script rewrite where someone's like, I'm going to make it Alzheimer's. I'm going to make it a little bit more specific.
They wanted to make the character more like endearing or like maybe a little bit lovable, a little bit more. I don't know. And
I'm not trying to bring down the podcast. I didn't intend to talk about this. My grandfather died of Alzheimer's, so I'm very supportive of research like this. If this was a real thing, I think we do what we got to do. Make the sharks as big and smart as you need to if it can get us the cure. But as you can imagine, it doesn't work out. Instead, they just make some super smart, super large sharks that take down the rig from the outside. And so then it becomes kind of not exactly a haunted house movie, but it kind of becomes the second half of Titanic. They're in a big structure that is slowly sinking and filling with water. These people got to get out, but the sharks are outsmarting them at every turn.
Because the sharks sunk it. The sharks chose to flood the
like the raptors testing the cage in Jurassic Park. They found the weaknesses in this like $1 billion establishment, and they were able to bring it down. There's really not that much more to the plot to get through other than you
Not
see
at
a
all.
bunch of characters trying to survive, trying to get to the surface, but they're out in the middle of nowhere. So even if you can get out, then you're in the sharks' territory, aka the ocean. And it's just people get picked off. There's a couple key survivors, and it becomes a survival movie. And it's one of the best because I think it knows it's a bad movie. So it's a B movie. This movie was never going to be a good movie. There is no version of this movie that was going to be
I don't know if I believe that.
You think the
I
shark
feel like
Alzheimer's movie could have been like a critical darling?
With the casting of this movie,
it's
I
a
think they thought it was
blockbuster.
going to be a blockbuster.
It's a
Isn't it?
blockbuster. Blockbuster, though, I would say doesn't necessarily mean like they
No.
knew what they were making. It was a B movie. You
If
know
we're
what I-
talking about a B movie, shark movie, we're talking about like a Jaws 3. If you've ever seen Jaws 3 where it's at like a
Of
water
course.
park and
yeah, Jaws
it's
3D.
Jaws
Shut
3D,
up.
then there's Jaws Revenge. These are like Jaws 3D. I would say is like straight up a B movie. This one is like clearly some money was spent.
They
This
did
is
have
not-
some budget on it for sure.
It's
yeah,
definitely 1999. Like it just
We
tastes
thought we
like
were.
1999. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's wild. Yeah.
Give
give us your movie. That's about all I can say about it. We'll get more into the specifics of my
we'll
pick.
get more
but
into that.
I think it is a
for
natural.
sure. I feel like obviously Quinn is gonna go with the natural pick, the most I feel like commercial obvious choice, which there's nothing wrong with that. We kind of need that for this podcast. And me, I'm just a fucking weird person, but this one isn't that weird to pick. This I feel like is a very obvious choice for me, and I don't know how it's a bad movie. For when I was younger, I thought it was a great movie, but it's a bad movie, and that movie is called. It's a 2002 film called All About the Benjamins, named after the 1997 hit by Puff Daddy and the Family. All About the Benjamins. It's basically a buddy cop film, but it's like a buddy comedy action film where if you've listened to the podcast, you know I chose Next Friday starring Ice Cube and Mike Epps. Well, they teamed up again, and they teamed up a few times after this. But man, it's about Bookham, a bounty hunter who lives in Miami, and he's just out here, and he's tired of dealing with the bullshit, and he wants to open his own PI firm. And we see him going along his bounties, and we meet Reggie Wright, con man, small time hustler, pulling little scams with old ladies. That opening scene, hilarious.
The closing scene, hilarious.
Oh
my god.
The opening scene and closing scenes of both these movies. That's how you know both these movies are bad movies, just by the way they start.
Yeah, you're
like
you
Deep
know
Blue
you're
Sea,
in
you're like,
for.
this is a bad. Instantly, you know what you're in for. It is wild. And so the movie starts with this crazy wild. Reggie Wright is in the convenience store. He's buying a lottery ticket, and for his girl, Bookham sees him, chases him. He ends up in this van of this photo shoot where there's a diamond heist being taken place where people are being murdered. And for some reason, Oscar Isaac is
Oscar
in this movie,
Isaac is
and I
immediately
did not
murdered.
know that. Instantly gets murdered.
If they knew what they had, that's how you know it's a bad movie when they waste good actors.
For a second,
Yeah, I mean-
I thought I was like, oh, Oscar Isaac is gonna, because there's a moment where you think he's gonna be a character in the movie where he kind of like
Yeah.
stands up to the guy, and you're like, oh, I didn't even know Oscar Isaac like had it this far back, and I'm like, and he's dead right away.
Yeah, he did not have it. But it's starring Ice Cube, Mike Epps, Eva Mendes, Tommy Flanagan. There's actually some Anthony Michael Hall is the dude at the beginning.
Lil
of the movie.
Bow Wow makes
That's
an
Anthony
appearance.
Michael Hall. I totally.
That
Yes,
is Anthony
it
Michael
is.
Hall.
Wow, I totally. Oh, geez, you're right. It is him.
There are some pretty big names in this movie, but so in the process of being chased by Bookham and going into the middle of the diamond heist, they shoot at Bookham. He loses his wallet, gets away. Bookham is holding a grudge about these motherfuckers who shot at him. Then he finds out it's a diamond heist, and he's like, okay, this is my big break for my PI firm. If I figure out this case before the Miami PD, then I'll get all this recognition, and I'll be able to start my PI firm. And Reggie only cares about one thing, getting this lottery ticket, because, surprise, surprise, he picked the winning numbers for $60 million, and he loses his wallet. So we're just on this journey of Reggie trying to find this wallet, Bookham trying to solve this case and find $20 million worth of diamonds, and them just hating each other. And Basically, it's just a movie for Mike Epps to be Mike Epps and like Ice Cube to be Ice Cube. That's literally what this movie
What's
is.
funny is I like the needless complication of it's not that they learn that there's like this high stakes diamond heist that they're like, oh, we could take these, like they have to add the extra layer of I also won a $60 million lottery in addition to a diamond heist that is, you know what I mean? Where it's just like, you don't need both. It could literally just have been, oh, there's a diamond heist and we have the scoop on, you know.
Yeah. I think they really were trying to be like, these two people don't like each other and we have to force them together, but you didn't need, it's money, man. It's all money.
You literally don't need both. But it's funny that they're like, that Mike Epps, like he's a huckster, and that he's like, I don't care about the diamonds. I only care about my wallet, my lotto ticket.
A thing that he says approximately 8 times throughout the movie.
Yeah, he says it a bunch, and I'm like, at some point you're like, he's a liar though, and he does care about the diamonds, but it becomes clear he doesn't give a shit about the diamonds. He really doesn't. Where I'm like, why don't you? You're a con man, and those diamonds are worth so much. You know what I mean? Where he's like, I don't want the diamonds. Where it's like,
he knows he's got that 60 million, 40 million after tax. Him and his girl. He's set. He's good.
That's true.
And Eva Mendes is in this, and she's just kind of like off to the side, and it's like, what is happening? How did there's just the right time. The casting did well. They did a good job, I feel like. And how did you feel about these picks, Luke? Did you have anything in mind? What did you think when we sent you these picks?
And had you seen both of these movies before? Because I hadn't. But.
So, I'll tell you right now. When you sent me the picks, I've seen Deep Blue Sea straight up probably like 20, 30 times. I've seen it a lot. I've seen it a lot of times.
A fellow man of culture.
I did not need to rewatch it. I've seen it so many times, right? And I'm like, all right. And then I was like, all right, All About the Benjamins. I've heard of this movie. I was 12 when it came out, didn't catch it, right? And so I'm like, I flip on All About the Benjamins, I'm doing my due diligence, and about 10, 15 minutes in, I'm like, this is a runaway. There's not, we're not even in the same stratosphere of awesomely bad, right? Then you get deep enough into All About the Benjamins, and there is a point where you're like, okay, this is a very 2002 like action flick. I'm like, I think Ice Cube and Mike Epps are legitimately have some very funny parts together. Where I'm like, there's parts that I would describe as good, and I'm like, see, the thing is, I'm actually laughing at some of this stuff. Then there's the third act. It just feels like someone else, like they ran out of money. I know that that's not how they film things, just like concurrently as the movie goes. But the third act of All About the Benjamins feels like a student director came in and was like, all right, we're going to do these like cartoon cut twos and the fight scenes to end the movie. The last act of the movie, I was dying. And I'm like, oh, no, this is a great pick. The whole final boat scene, you know what I mean? That last fight scene with the villain is like finger licking good because it's so goddamn awful. It's like they just completely ran out of time and they're like, we have to wrap tomorrow, so we need to get the whole third act of this movie done today, you guys. It's so hilariously bad, and I loved it.
It's them fighting on what would you call a boat that's like a skiff,
like a speedboat.
A speedboat. It's them fighting below a speedboat. It's Ice Cube and I guess. We had Tommy Flanagan on our last film, Leonard. He was in the game.
Yeah, he was in the game.
Tommy Flanagan, the villain, just fighting on a speedboat that's not being driven. So they cut to wide shots of a speedboat just like carving up the ocean. And then they're just inside going, whoa. Yeah. And eventually Ice Cube wins just because he gets Tommy Flanagan gets like knocked into a wall. But
while I was watching that scene, all I could imagine was the person like leaning down and like driving the boat, like while like trying to like not be in the shot.
I love too that he just shoots Mike Epps right away. Like, just go ahead, pop Mike Epps. We don't, we wanted to give him an off day while filming. And then the fight choreography where they're in the bowels of the speedboat is like they've never heard of what a fight should look like. It was so hilariously bad. And then, of course, the way that the villain is defeated, is that the boat just runs aground and that
knocks him out.
that he breaks his neck and that him hit that. See, I had to rewind and be like, that's not how they kill the bad guy, right? Like, and it's like, no, that was their solution, was just have him break his neck and that's it, and they're done.
Do you
and
think
Ice Cube is
the
totally
runaway
fine.
boat was like a defense for them not having good fight choreography? They're like, let's just shake them on a floor so they're just throwing wild haymakers off balance. Like,
I mean, you rewind it 10 minutes before that, and there's that part where Eva Mendes and Ice Cube's girlfriend in the movie, like, they have like an unloaded gun, and then for some reason, there's no shot where it like pans out and shows like they're in a car, like in a convertible, and there's like two bad guys, like henchmen, and then just randomly they have access to like a suspended wave runner, and they push the wave runner into the two guys, and they very like straight up like 1960s Batman pow, get like whoa and fall into the water, and they're defeated. There's no like
yeah,
hey,
they
these
don't
guys
swim
just-
offshore.
yeah, they're dead. And I love that they were just like, and then the girls are like, yes, we killed those
And then
guys.
just run
And
away.
then they run away.
And then we never see the two dudes again.
No, never. They're dead. They're
I think they both
effectively dead.
drowned.
So
Yes.
I feel like both these movies were very bad, obviously. But I feel like they're bad in different ways.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I feel like Deep Blue Sea was a struggle. I had to stop the movie and like take a break and then come back and watch it. The first 30 minutes of that movie is god fucking
Yeah.
awful.
It's true. It's true.
Like-
in not a fun way. It gets to
And
be
not a
more
fun
fun.
way. Yeah.
What,
Quinn, how did you feel about these?
I think it's a flawless bad movie. Elaborate, Leonard. What don't you like about the first 30 minutes?
you
You don't like the
okay,
science? They had to explain the
The
plot,
sci-
otherwise you don't know why the sharks are big.
the science, the introduction, the shitty introduction of the characters, like, well, all the characters sucked, and you hate all of them. I don't know if you want to or you're not supposed to hate all of them.
You hate
The
Preacher?
whole, like,
you hate Preach?
how is this? Who allowed this helicopter to fly out?
You hate Thomas
this
Jane, the
fucking
shark
rig.
whisperer? You don't like that character at all. He
Yeah,
doesn't- he
don't
doesn't
you
win
remember
over.
when
That's-
those kids
that's the most
spilled
endearing
wine in the
character.
water and the shark
That's-
smelled the
oh my
wine
God.
and then he saved
Yeah, it's
them?
like, okay, they don't see blood. They smell the blood. It's not like I was.
No,
God.
sharks, they just see red and they're like, that's probably blood. They're not, they definitely can't smell blood from like 100, yards away or something.
Miles away.
It's just wine. You can fool them.
The fact that helicopter flew out in that fucking storm, that's never gonna happen. First of all,
All right, you're gonna have a lot more issues with this movie
I
if
know.
that's where you
And
start.
second of all, just it was. I just
I think one thing that we have to do to kind of level the playing field in comparing these two movies is talk about the budget differences, because I
Sure.
think, you know what I mean, like one is a blockbuster big budget action movie, right, and the other is
I know All About the Benjamins is $15 million budget.
And I think Ice Cube stole $10 million of that movie.
yes.
Deep Blue Sea, it's we're going off Wikipedia. It's the best we have. It is somewhere between
Holy
60
shit.
and $80 million. That's the budget.
Yeah,
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
And yeah,
yeah, and
and it's
I
pre
just don't
9/11.
understand
This is a pre 9/11 60 mil.
Well, it's
Right.
funny because the Deep Blue Sea is just
I
bad.
don't know what that
from
means
the
exactly, but
I don't either.
it's important to mention it.
Deep Blue Sea is bad from beginning to end, and the characters are bad. You hate all the characters. The movie should have been like 35 minutes shorter than what it was.
It's only an hour 45. Just for everybody watching at home, Leonard's suggesting this movie should have been 70 minutes.
I mean, there's about 45 minutes worth of film in this movie, and obviously we all know the best part of this movie
Is
and that's
the
Samuel
oven?
L. Jackson
Oh,
getting
There's a few best parts. Yeah.
there's a
Yeah, the
few
Samuel
best.
There's one iconic part, Leonard, that you are setting up, so we can go to it now. I think.
Well, no, we don't. Have to go to it,
Most
but
people know what
Yeah.
you're alluding to. You might as well rip the Band-Aid off.
the great speech that
It's a wonderful speech.
Samuel L. Jackson is trying to give to inspire everyone to get into this water.
I think they brought in David
They're gonna
Mamet
swim
for
to
that
the-
speech.
they're
They
gonna-
just paid him for a day, have him write that speech, and then they.
Also, he starts that speech off by being like, "You think water's fast?" You should see Ice.
Ice.
It's like, what? Who wrote this?
This is his Quint speech from Jaws. Like the best scene in Jaws is when Quint, when they're all comparing scars, and Quint's talking about the USS whatever and being stranded out in the water. This is like, all right, Samuel L. Jackson, we're gonna put it on a T for you. And
we killed 2 men in the ice.
Yeah, 8 of us survived the crash. 2 of us made it out. It's like, oh, you ate each other. You ate each other is what you're saying.
Oh, my God. And then he instantly gets fucking eaten by a shark, then split in half and eaten by another little shark. And
eaten by a shark while he's safely on dry land, too.
Yeah.
He's just standing near a pool.
Everybody knows this scene, but to set it up again real quickly, their base has been flooded. They make way to an area where there's a little portal that, because of science that I don't fully understand. I remember doing the experiment in school, but it's like the water can't get out, but there's a little, pool, so to speak, at the bottom that leads out to the ocean.
Pressure, right?
And the air pressure is keeping them kind of in. So they are inside, but the water is right there. And Samuel L. Jackson, for some reason, decides to give a big rousing speech right on the end, right on the lip of the water. And as he is doing so, right as he's reaching the climax of his speech, big old shark comes, bites him, gets his lower half. He's screaming. It's pretty gruesome for how quick it happens. And then another shark, I am a little fuzzy on those. Another shark comes up, finishes him off, and they just both kind of bloop, plop up, grab him. He's dead.
These sharks are so big. Their teeth are so fucking big in the CGI on this. It's crazy. And
wear that shark tooth necklace around your neck, Leonard.
And I do think what never gets enough play is Michael Rappaport's reaction to it, where he's just like, "I just hate him. I just fucking hate him."
I was gonna have that in my back pocket. You're hard pressed to make a real bad movie without Michael Rappaport, and I got him in this movie in spades. Okay, he's explaining the theory of relativity. He's like doing all sorts of wild shit in this movie.
When they first get the shark up, and he's like, "Who ordered the tuna?" And I was just like, or who ordered the suit or something. I was just like, good.
I mean,
fuck. It was just like a shot. They were like, everyone in the theater is gonna laugh at this, and it was just like, no, we're not.
I think if you remove LL Cool J from Deep Blue Sea, it's a borderline like you lose a lot of the fun of the movie without LL Cool J. Like if you took him out of the movie, I don't think you probably would have picked it, because he adds such a fun angle to it. Like all of his scenes, all of his crap, the fact that his song at the end of the movie where he says my hat is like a shark's fin.
I got the lyrics pulled up.
There's lots of just like, what in God's name? Like it seems, yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about that. So we're going to talk about, we got to talk about, man. Yeah, LL is the saving grace of this shitstorm of a movie. And
I don't think he was on location. He might have been on location for one day and all of his scenes were, because his plot line is all by himself.
He's the B plot of this B movie, yeah. He's got a parrot. Ice Cube has Mike Epps. LL Cool J has a parrot.
Yeah, him getting trapped in that fucking stove and just spouting out biblical verses and shit. And like,
they give him so many things in this movie. He's like Daniel Day-Lewis or something. There's that thing of the character actor who's like, I'm gonna have a limp and an eye patch, and I'm gonna speak with a York accent. And they're like, no, it's too many things. Like Ice Cube or LL Cool J is like, I got a parrot. I'm a cook, so I'm gonna be wearing like a full cook's.
I'm like, also a preacher. My name is Preacher.
This huge facility has one cook. Like, it's such a weird old-timey... That's like from the Titanic or something. Like, oh, yeah, this character is a cook. But it's like he's wearing like a chef's uniform. Anyway.
The other thing I love is
he's also a preacher.
They justify that, like, at the beginning of Deep Blue Sea, there's like a bunch more people that are leaving for the weekend, right? They're like, oh, we run a skeleton crew on the weekend. And I like that, like, of the like... all these people who are just deemed non-essential, for some reason, LL Cool J were like, we do need you here through the weekend, though. You are not allowed to leave. We need the chef. The personal chef must stay.
He's getting time and a half.
I do love, though, the part at the beginning of the movie where LL tells Samuel, he's like, oh, yeah, you're that guy. And he's like, he thinks he's about to commend him. And he's like, nah, you should have kept your black ass off that mountain. I was like, okay, that was probably my favorite part of the movie. He just like roasts him, and like I was like, that's pretty realistic to me. And
It's a
Also,
shame they
like-
don't interact more. It's a shame that we have. I think that's the only scene where we have
That's
LL
the
Cool
only
J
interaction between them.
and Sam Jam
And
together.
then there's the beginning where the main female lead, he's like, she's not as dumb as she seems.
no, she's awful.
And I was like,
she's awful.
What? Because this was like at the beginning of the movie, and I was like, that just seems very wrong to like just call this woman like dumb, and then I was like, oh, okay, now I see where they're going with
Yeah,
this.
They
and
all
she
prove
bleeds
out to be
strawberry
pretty dumb.
jelly.
Yeah, they're all very dumb and very awful, and I just love that the B plot it's such a strong story arc of, is the black man gonna survive
Yes.
this
And
horrible
he keeps calling it
situation?
out over and over again. He's just like,
Keeps calling
black
it
guys
out
never
over
survive
and
this.
over.
We never survived at the end of these movies.
And I was so mad. I knew he survived, but I still was upset at the end because when the shark gets him, and I was like, holy shit, he's about to. There is no fucking way he would have survived that attack.
oh, you mean after
his
we've
whole
seen-
fucking legs were in that shark's mouth? Like,
Oh, and we've just done nothing but see sharks one bite people the whole previous part of the
Split
movie.
them in half. Yeah, that's the whole point of them
exactly.
being big and small. You're not supposed to get dinged by these sharks. They obliterate you. Like
that
Michael
shark
Rappaport.
carried that man
Michael
for like
Rappaport gets
45
got.
seconds. That shark carried him for 45 seconds.
Out of the
and
water.
then they bandage him up, and they have like 3 bandages on him, and I was like, sweet fucking Jesus.
And I like right away the main character is like, she's like, he'll be fine. If we get him out of here, he'll be like, she's able to be like, he's fine.
I was like, if this bitch doesn't die, she out here breaking rules, causing everybody to die, and just not giving a fuck, like willing to.
her
accept people
sacrifice
to-
is in vain too. Her you
Her white father has Alzheimer's.
yes. Do you like it too that the way to solve Alzheimer's is just to drip some shark brain juice on a brain tissue? Like, it's not like, hey, we need to like crack the code of the genetics here. It's just like, no, just drip some of the juice onto a piece of brain and it'll remember.
The movie thankfully gives us the boardroom scene is hilarious, where they have the whole thing where she's pitching this is why we need it. Saffron Burrows, I'm not trying to disrespect anyone from 1999. I don't know her from anything else really.
No, I don't either.
She's kind of the worst part of this movie. Like, everyone else knows what movie they're in, and she's sort of like just flat the whole time. She's got like an ambiguous accent. I mean, I guess she's English, but
English, I'd say. And
she's just sort of a drip. Everybody else is kind of fun, or you, like Leonard says, like, I want Michael Rappaport to die slow, but it's I'm waiting for it, and it's fun. She's sort of just like, I think they like want to make her the villain, and it's unclear if she like knew all of this was happening. Like, she's a very ambiguous character, but that scene where they try to describe it, they're like, sharks have an enzyme that allows them to whatever. So if we make their brains bigger, we can extract more of it or something like that. And it's like, okay, like you're making it worse by explaining it more. Like, just tell us this
Exactly.
one thing, and we're like, sharks,
Exactly.
Alzheimer's, they're really big.
That's what makes me think they thought that this was gonna be like a blockbuster. They're like trying to like make it seem real and feel real. It's like, no, just be like All About the Benjamins and leave out hella details. Like, just
all about the Benjamins by that, because it's one of those things where I think if you only watch the first 30 minutes of the movie, you're like, this is your pretty standard like buddy cop comedy, kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just Mike Epps being a goof and Ice Cube being like, man, you're too much.
it's literally straight man. It's Harold and fucking.
It's
Mike.
it's the
You're straight man, you're
situation
fucking.
comedy that Cary Grant might have made if Cary Grant was Ice Cube. Ice Cube also so clearly that character. I don't know if it was in an earlier draft of the script, should be a cop, but Ice Cube wrote "fuck the police," so he can't be a cop. So they just treat bounty hunting like it's
And
being
he
a
hates
cop.
the
Like,
cops
he's got
in
a
the
chief
movie. He
who's
hates
like,
cops.
I don't
I
like
like
your
that.
methods, Ice Cube. Like, it's very much like
Also,
he's a
his
cop.
boss is like
Martinez?
a straight up like used car salesman type of.
I found you at the
stereotype.
dog track shoveling shit.
Yeah.
I'll send you back.
He's
I
like
remember-
giving him
You
like
want some money?
I
bounty
kept-
hunter.
Was that the only one that was like, what's his name? They keep calling him Bookham, and I'm like, what is his?
All right, hold on. Let's just pause it for a second.
You got an alarm going off,
Mine's-
Leonard?
Nah, roommates started to set off the smoke.
Cooking.
Anyways, all right, we're back.
That was ice. That was LL Cool J actually stuck in the oven. Shark
Yeah.
just turned it on.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna cook me in my own oven.
Not to pivot back real quick, but we've already hinted at there is a scene where LL Cool J is hiding from a shark in a flooded room in an oven, and he thinks he's safe, and the oven pushes its the shark pushes its nose against the oven, and you just see the thing like ding, and it starts to turn on, and like a Bugs Bunny cartoon, LL is like, "Ooh, it's getting hot!" Like he's playing it up and then he starts hooking up. And my favorite, you mentioned, Luke, that there's all the thing about him being a preacher, and it's my favorite drop because they can never let you forget. Every scene, LL Cool J has to do all of his bits in the scene to remind you that he's a preacher, that he has a bird, that he's a cook. And in that scene, it's my favorite drop. He's fighting his way out of the oven, and he just goes, "I'm like Daniel versus the lion." It's like, we get it. You've read the Bible. Like, it's so overkill every single time. He comes out over the top. He's got his little axe, and he survives the oven. But
Jumps
it's the most
the shark.
insane thing I've ever seen.
Jumps the shark.
literally
But the shark.
Arguably wilder than the Samuel L. Jackson gets eaten scene is him being roasted alive by the shark.
When I think Deep Blue Sea, I know that the Sam Jam speech is like the iconic thing, but I think of the LL Cool J being cooked in the oven by the shark scene. That scene is absolutely insane that they left that in the movie, and that's like one of the ways that they kill one of the two sharks.
Who was the he like that explosion was so big, it was like there's not that much gas.
And his line is, "You killed my bird." And then he killed it.
Which is another funny, like, the animal wrangler. I don't know how they got that shot, but you just see a parrot just get like engulfed by this big ass shark, which is like, that's nothing for that shark. That shark is not fed by that parrot.
Yeah, that's like, why?
He wants LL.
He wants LL. LL would be more
I just
delicious.
don't understand.
He's trying to cook him. He's trying to cook LL. So
who is your least favorite character in Deep Blue Sea?
Saffron Burrows.
Saffron Burrows for sure. Yeah. She's just not,
or maybe
she's not
Janet,
fun. She's
Tony
no fun.
Soprano's sister who gets killed in the watchtower really early.
I don't know why, but I really didn't like Jan. I don't want to die.
Oh yeah,
like in the water. There's something about
that whole water scene is, dude. That it is. Deep Blue Sea is fun.
They structure everything. Like, that movie is like, okay, we got a dumbass premise, but then they structure the types of things that, like, if you leave Jaws, you'd be like, oh, and what? Like, these are the things you'd have like wild like dreams about. It's like, oh, you're in a tunnel and the tunnel's rising and the water's rising and the sharks are in the water, so you got to climb the side. Like, they're like, great, let's just manufacture that. Let's just put a big thing. LL Cool J is going to get cooked. They just come up with all these wild scenarios, and they just
he's going to save them randomly multiple times by just being inexplicably one story higher than the rest of the people.
Oh man! And then they tease you at the end and make you think he's going to die. And just like,
see, you got to give All About the Benjamins. It's you know.
Yeah, let's pivot back. I stole it from you, Leonard. I couldn't wait anymore to talk about LL Cool J getting cooked, but you go.
Well, All About the Benjamins, just from beginning to end, there's so much being like, wait, what about this? Wait, didn't this woman was just murdered and you're like all up in her house? Whatever happened to that? Did you call the police? You're just gonna throw the dude in the trunk? Like
there was multiple times where I'm like, wait, how
we
long
gotta
has
clean up
that
our
guy?
fingerprints? It's like, no, call the police and tell them that this person murdered this woman and that he's right here. Like,
Cube hates the police. He's not going to call the police. He's trying to solve the case before them for some reason.
Yeah, it was just funny. Like, Mike Epps is drinking orange juice out of the fucking. I'm like, you guys are getting caught.
Yes.
Like, you guys are going to jail.
Ice Cube's
for sure.
whole motivation makes no sense in the movie. Like, Mike Epps, you understand right from the outset, he's a con man. He's just trying to, get a dollar and live his life. Ice Cube, I'm like, why does Ice Cube give a shit? He we already established from early on, he's like, doesn't like this job. He's getting shot at by like trailer park white people. He's like, this job sucks. I'm not getting paid enough. You know what I need to do? Open my own branch. And it's don't.
There's a scene halfway through the movie where they go back to like Cube's apartment, and Mike Epps, it's like the screenwriter. Mike Epps sits down and he goes, I know why I want this, but what do you want this? And then Ice Cube thinks about it and comes up with his own motivation halfway through the movie. That's what he talks about opening his PI firm. He wants to be like Humphrey Bogart. He just wants to like have like a stenciled name on a door and people come in and they're like, my husband's cheated. Like, that's what he wants to be. And we find out about halfway in.
Yeah.
Yeah, like originally his motivation at the beginning was just revenge. It was just like they shot
at me, which
They
for
shot
Cube
him.
is enough
They
of
shot him.
motivation. I think it's like he's just
I mean,
angry.
if you live in Florida, there's a lot of guns being pointed at people and children. Like in this movie.
Yes.
He pulls a gun on a 10-year-old Bow Wow who is not giving him
definitely.
that much hassle. Like it's wild.
He way too much. He escalates that situation.
No provocation.
Way too much, and points a gun at a kid
like,
in
holy
public,
shit.
in few
What
views.
is happening? He handcuffs Mike Epps to everything.
To everything. Yeah, handcuffs him to everything. Also, do you ever? I got the sense while I was watching this. I'm like, why does Eva Mendes like Mike Epps in this movie? I'm like,
Unclear.
you know what I mean? Where I'm like,
But that's an age old question. So there's a lot of times in real life where you're like, why is this woman with this man? And this is one of those instances.
Yeah.
For
Mike
sure.
Especially
Epps
after he
is
loses
like a
the lottery
total
ticket, I
loser.
thought it was
Yeah.
going to be, I got to get this ticket back. Eva Mendes is moving out. But she's still like ride or die. Doesn't matter.
she's ride or
She
die the
handled
whole
that
time.
lottery ticket. She handled that lottery ticket situation way too well. Way too
And
well.
I
just
love
like
the
those-
scene where
when
they-
she goes, "Who's your bitch?" And he's like, "You."
The scene before Mike Epps realizes he loses his wallet and they find out that they've won the lottery, the filmmakers or the script or whatever is like, how do we show these two grown adults who just found out they're rich, $60 million rich, celebrating, and they're just jumping up
Jumping
and down
on the bed.
holding hands?
Yeah, they like. I didn't realize it because she's like counting her tips when he like first came in. I was like, that was a little smart little like write in so they could throw the money around, like the little bit of money and shit. But that was a funny little montage. I feel like this movie overall, the writing is awful. Like it's just
If
the details, the edit is really bad. But Mike Epps makes this movie enjoyable.
yes, Mike Epps is very funny in it, and and there are parts where I actually laughed at Ice Cube. I was like, Ice Cube is funny in this. Like Ice Cube, those two together, it makes sense why they
two
work
together. They're
so
yeah,
well.
They have a good rapport with each other.
There is a moment where I was like, Jesus Christ, this is not funny. This is like, who put this in there? And it's the torture scene where it's like so
Yes.
long. It's
Yes.
so long. It's so not like I think they're playing it for comedy that it's funny that they're just like torturing this guy and like straight up like borderline Scarface style in a bathtub.
Yes, I was waiting
like,
for the chainsaw.
and I just remember being like, and then I kind of went down a rabbit hole, like Googling it, and people were like, yeah, this was like a fucked up thing. Like when this movie came out, people were like, this is too much. Like these are supposed to be our heroes of the movie, and there's no joke about it. They're just torturing this guy.
I think the guy that they're torturing is like in every single black movie in the 90s and like early 2000s. Like he's the light skinned black dude in every black film. Let me get his
Wait,
name.
that guy's
and
not
give
black.
him-
Is that guy black?
Yeah, he's a black
The
dude.
photographer?
Yeah, it is Roger Smith.
Okay.
Gouverneur Smith. Yeah, I think that they were like, all right, this dude is obviously just a cold-blooded killer, and we're not supposed to like feel bad about.
I didn't either.
movie
It was
forgets-
just so much torture. It
The
was
movie
like-
forgets
but-
its own like tone weirdly in that moment because right before there's a fun scene which I liked, which felt like Mike Epps just riffing on the toilet. He's not pooping. He's sitting on the toilet. This guy's chained to the shower. He's got his hands up on the bar, and he's like just going at him about his hairline, which cracked me up. Where he goes, "When you salute, you
Yes.
probably go like this." He puts his head
Yeah.
back before his
Yes.
hand, and then he's like, "What was another one he had?"
Mike Epps has some good lines too.
He's like, you don't have dreams, you have.
You don't have
movies."
dreams, you have movies. I was like writing these down. I was like, oh, that's good. Like, I was like, I got to remember that one. And then they start torturing this guy who had been shot through the forearm, and he's got like a rig on his hand, kind of holding his hand in place, which doesn't totally make sense.
No, it didn't make sense.
They're tightening the screws on his like brace, and that's hurting him. And the only thing, you're totally right, Luke. This is so incongruous with the rest of the movie. But the only thing that I was glad of, I kept waiting for them to put the screwdriver in the hole. They didn't. They had some
didn't.
restraint. They maybe edited that out, but I was like, I know that's coming. It never came. Instead, they just tightened the screws, and this guy's reacting like they're sawing his arm off.
Yeah, like Ice Cube is torturing him, and then Mike Epps is like, "Please let me torture this guy
Let me
too."
get
And
in
he's
on
like,
this.
"No," and then he's like, "All right, you can torture him too."
But it's funny. But then Mike Epps is kind of like, ugh, like while he's doing it, so he doesn't like really want to do it. So you're like, oh, maybe we should like Mike Epps. But I also think what's funny about this scene is They have a flathead screwdriver, and the things that they're screwing in, it's flat.
You can
It's a
see
flat
in some of the
surface.
close-ups too. They're not actually screwing it. He's just pushing it on it, and it's like
The editing
they
is
could have
bad. Ice Cube he tries to put his hand over it so you don't notice it. So Ice Cube did a much better job at like trying to act like it was real.
Yeah.
But Mike Epps wasn't trying at all, and they just had to keep cutting back to Evan Mendez so you don't.
I
see
think
that
you're
he's
right, Luke. I
actually
think this
not
was a
screwing.
UCLA student film, and I think it's a really good one. But
There are times in it where like I feel like I'm pretty stupid about how I watch movies. Like I think it's easy to be like, oh, the script is bad or this or this or this. I think it's rare for me to watch a movie and be like, this is badly directed.
Yeah.
But this
Right.
is a movie that feels like one person did the first half of the movie, and then someone who's never seen a movie directed the second half, and I'm like, what is going on? Like I texted Leonard as I'm like in the third act, and I'm like, this movie is wild. I was cracking up. I literally was watching this alone on my couch and was just like, what? Like, someone sat in an editing bay and was like, this makes sense A to B by the end here. This is all makes sense. We're gonna leave,
and when in doubt, just freeze frame over your last scene and then just go to the next thing. They do that move a couple times where it's just like, and then they just fade out from a freeze frame, and then the next scene starts. And it's like, I guess that's all the footage you had.
Yes.
I wasn't sure, but I was right. Ice Cube wrote this film.
I mean,
someone else wrote this.
For
He's
sure.
like, all right, I'm going to try this buddy action cop movie. Let's see how this goes.
The torture
And,
scene feels like a scene that Ice Cube's like, I still want to look badass.
I was
You know what
thinking
I mean?
that scene was for him. He's like, I gotta be Ice
100%.
Cube. I gotta be tough, and it's a physical movie for. He does a whole movie in a Penny Hardaway jersey, Heat
Yes, he does.
jersey. There's like, it's not
it's a Tim Hardaway.
My bad.
Penny played for Orlando.
My
It's okay.
my NBA lack of knowledge is showing, but I had Hardaway. But then there's the scene. It's not God, what's the movie with Keanu that has the best like running chase scene? The surf movie, Point Break.
Oh, Point
It's
Break,
not
yeah.
Point Break, but there's that early scene where he's chasing Mike Epps, and that's when you're saying, Luke, I was like, this is actually like.
This is
It's
fun.
not well directed, but it's fun and there's pace. There's momentum and there's pace, and he's chasing after him, and then like it's creative. Mike Epps like finds the ladder, he stands up, and then he pulls the ladder up. I was like, that's clever. Like there's parts of this movie I hesitate to call it like filmmaking, but there's parts of it where I was like, okay, and I think you're right. It's like
the first parts of it reminded me of like a Snatch kind of the way it's shot, the scene transitions.
Yeah.
They have like the quick time movie like fade to the right type of like. But then by the last half of the movie, you're just like, oh, who's doing this? They gave up. Like, there's that guy that gets hit by the car where he jumps out, and you can tell that there's a reason that they don't give even one line to these kinds of stuntmen, where he's like, I'm gonna kill you now. like the guy, like some guy jumps out and then he hits him with a car, and Mike Epps like.
It's also the whole thing is predicated, Leonard. You sum it perfectly, but I just like there's no reason, and I'm not saying it has to be motivated, but like there's no reason for Mike Epps to lose he loses his wallet at the worst possible time in the worst possible place, and it has the ticket in it. He has to lose it. I get it. But like it could have been like when they found him, they're like, hand over let's see who you are, and they take it. Instead, it's just like one shot of him getting out of the van, the wallet just drops, and you're like, well, that's going to come back into play. But there's no real reason for it. It's like it just fell out of his pocket. Like we need it to happen for the movie.
Speaking of the wallet,
yeah.
He's looking for this goddamn wallet the whole time.
And it's just on
they
the
take his
yacht?
ID out to find him. Why the fuck do they keep this wallet?
Why do they keep this wallet? And why are they
is it in
bringing it
Tommy
with them on their
Flanagan's
yacht?
coat? Why is it in the yacht? Why is the fuck?
They say at one point they're like, it's in a coat. Like it's like they forgot the wallet is in the coat, but thankfully this guy brought the coat.
Yeah, that's one thing I was like, did I miss something? Because like when Mike Epps finds the wallet on the yacht at the end of the movie, I was like, did I must have missed something where they said that they have, and I'm like, no, they just needed to jam it in there.
Out. I wouldn't even say it was cut out. It just was like they're like it's here. Let's accept
you know
it.
what else is
And
a great,
also,
awesomely bad is the fish like Chekhov's gun at the beginning where they're like, all right, we gotta drop in right off the top that Ice Cube has like a weebay from The Wire situation where he was into fish.
Okay.
He loves fish.
Literally, I just think Ice Cube was like, all right, what tropes and what things can I steal from these past movies and put them all together. I got Mike Epps who will just ad-lib a bunch of shit. It'll be hilarious. We'll make it work. And the director of this movie is Kevin Bray. He directed this Next Friday that also came out in 2002 and then didn't direct anything else for 2 years, and directed Walking Tall with The Rock, and never directed a movie again.
When you make
think
3
he was
perfect
a
movies, you just drop it. That's like Tarantino
was a
was going to make
music-
10 and he's out. This guy made 3 movies. They're all fire, and he's like, I'm done.
He was a music video director before, and I feel like maybe Ice Cube beat him up on set and was like, all right, I'm going to let you direct a couple of my movies and just don't sue me. Like, I don't know what happened. I just think they were editing this, like they directed it. They wrote it. They're like, all right, we'll piece it together. We'll direct it. And then they just like edited it concurrently. Like they didn't have an overall thought for the whole movie. They just edited as they went along. They're like, this looks cool for this scene.
Now,
this looks cool for this scene. And it just looks wild.
Now that you mentioned that Ice Cube wrote it, all of it makes much more sense because it's like there's like an inexplicable Ice Cube snipe someone scene where it's like we don't need that at all. We literally don't need that. We do not need to see Ice Cube snipe a guy.
We're going a little bit longer than we know, but I just want to talk about this last thing before we go in the criteria. That final scene meeting at the dog track, just with the sniping.
That was my
situation.
other than the torture scene. My other scene in the movie where I was like, why'd you need this scene in there? But go for it, Leonard, because I have thoughts too.
Mike Epps runs away from point blank gunfire like 6 times.
I mean, he's skinny though. He's gonna be hard to hit. He's moving.
And the fucking villain has no people in this organization have no problem shooting people instantly. Like shoots his own girlfriend right in the fucking head. The standoff shooting thing just makes no sense.
My God.
I'm just gonna shoot my girlfriend and not shoot either one of you.
Dude, the shooting of the girlfriend is when I texted you. That is because I'm like, wait. We just saw them like in a car chase scene where he's like, we're going to get married and we're going to be on a beach somewhere. And then literally 10 seconds later in the movie time, he shoots her in the head just to prove to 2 guys that he's about to kill that he doesn't care about her.
Do you guys remember what he says right before he does that too? Because Epps has her, I think, right? And he's like, I got your girl or something. And then he goes, I got your wife? He says something and then he goes, she's not my wife yet. And then he kills her as if I'd said my sacred vows, I would not off her right now. But since we are not married and still just engaged, I can murder her in cold blood. Like, it's such a weird
I do love that he doesn't immediately kill Ice Cube in that situation. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna kill my girl.
Makes no sense.
It makes no sense, and I loved every bit of it.
Or why they needed a sniper to take out Mike Epps when like he could have taken the diamonds from him and then killed him himself. You don't need Mike Epps anymore once he hands you the diamonds.
Oh, the extra sniper up on the roof.
You don't need it. This man stopped a car in the middle of a car chase. Pulled a rocket launcher out,
yes.
shot it at them.
And then it's completely gone. And then they don't show them getting away. Once they get out of the car, those guys are just gone. Like the last thing we saw was him standing in the street with a rocket launcher that we've never seen before
Did
or
they
since.
mean it for it to go through?
It goes right through the window.
Okay, so it does go through the car.
Yeah. Thankfully, both windows were down.
I love
that.
The least believable thing in this whole movie is these 2 black dudes have an argument in the street right next to a fucking fish truck that just got blown up while they got guns and shit. Get the fuck out of there. What the fuck are you doing? Where are the police?
No,
what is happening?
No way. Loved it. And I also love like Eva Mendes being like, or I forget the girl who plays Ice Cube's girlfriend.
In
who,
fairness,
by the way,
I don't know that they ever even give her a name. Yeah, I don't think they care much about that character at all. They're like, Ice Cube needs a lady.
Yeah, and at the beginning of the movie, they're like, we need this hot girl who's wearing like inappropriate for an office.
Valerie Miller. Yeah. Valerie Ray Miller.
And she's like, you need to bring me on one of these shootouts. I'll make sure to cover you. And you're like, all right, we're definitely going to see that happen later. That's,
it's his girl Friday.
She's like, you keep getting shot at. Let me come with you. Like, what? Why do you want to be shot at? All right, let's get into these criteria.
Well, last thing, wait. Why did they make, Leonard, is this is maybe a trope in like kind of, I don't know. This is a silly question.
In black
films, maybe. Okay. There's that scene where like the character at the racetrack scene, he just starts calling Mike Epps the N-word, and I was like, this is like a hard.
Now we needed that. He's Irish
for this. Yeah, it's like he's like this Irish guy. It's not surprising this character is racist, but
so you gonna call me a nigga?
Yeah, like
I loved that part.
It was just like we don't hate this guy enough for all the things he does.
Yes,
like it's like just have him say the N-word too. Let's throw it all on there, so we know for sure we're not rooting for this guy.
Also, this dude is fucking wealthy and owns like a shipping company.
He owns like
a boat and a marine. Like, you own all this, and yet you're trying to go live on the beach. Like, what are you like? there was some backstory we needed to know about
Unclear.
his character. Like, is he about
None
to
of
go
it
to
made
jail for
sense.
tax evasion for 20 years? Like, why is he trying to get all this money and get out? Like, it made no sense. It looked like he was already rich as
Yes.
fuck. Like, what?
He was living like Miami Vice style, and he needed the diamonds to escape to Rio de Janeiro. It made no fucking sense, and
It was just
I loved
another
it.
like trope. But there was no fucking. There was no reason for it. There was no motivation behind it. So it just made no
One
sense.
more scene I was gonna mention before that I love that it's like, so we have our hero's journey, we have our Ice Cube and Mike Epps like hate each other at the beginning, they bond, they become partners. Then there's that moment where he's like, we were never partners. And then they're like,
You thought we were.
They have like, and this is like post rocket launcher, right? This is like you think this is the climax of the film, and that this is them at their low point, right?
Yeah.
And then literally Ice Cube's girlfriend's like, hey, that was really mean. You're in the wrong. And instantly they're back to being friends again. He's like, hey, you really that was fucked up what you just said to him. Like, you need to go apologize. You are in the wrong here. And he's like, all right, just for the sake of, just because we only have 15 minutes left in the movie and we do need to be friends again right now, starting this second without
it felt like
any
someone off screen was just going like,
just
running their hand like, we gotta go, we gotta move.
It felt like at some point they were like, hey, there's a whole bunch of this that doesn't make any goddamn sense at all. Can we reshoot a scene where you guys immediately make up right after you break up literally 5 seconds before? He's like, yeah, we can absolutely do that.
All right, Leonard, bring us into the
well,
criteria.
And we're gonna fly through this criteria because honestly, this criteria doesn't fucking matter for either one of these movies. First one, pop culture. I mean, Deep Blue Sea. I feel like knocks All About the Benjamins out of the waters, pop culturally wise.
The oven scene.
Go ahead.
The oven scene. The Samuel L. Jackson scene. Making sharks super big because of Alzheimer's. I would go one more thing for pop culture that I remember watching this movie that as a kid, because I was 8 in 1999. I was not allowed to see this movie, which I saw this movie the way you should see a bad movie at like midnight. They used to play it on TNT, and I didn't see the real version until years after it had come out.
I definitely rented it at Blockbuster.
Yeah, it's a movie that you're supposed to. God bless those who saw it in theaters and got to witness it in all its glory then. But the poster is Saffron Burrows, the female lead in the film, kind of somehow unaware that there's a shark right behind her, similar to the Jaws poster where the shark is coming up from below. But yes, mouth open, you see all the teeth. She looks like she would fall straight into the mouth. The shark wouldn't even have to bite. That's how big the shark is behind her. And that poster, which that like captured my imagination and terrified me as a kid. If you look at the post for like Lake Placid, which came out the same year, it's the same thing. It's like a person in the water with the big ass alligator jaws open behind it. So
Lake Placid is a great flick.
it's another great bad movie. I feel like I could have put it on here. So I'm just gonna throw that out there too. I think the poster, the imagery associated with the with Deep Blue Sea, and
Cool.
and yeah. So I think the pop culture elements speak for itself. I think we've covered them.
Yeah, as far as All About the Benjamins, it has pop culture influence for sure in the black community. I feel like
Such as?
the biggest thing that the biggest thing that may even transfer over into pop culture is the 1735.
I like that riff.
45, 47. You don't know how many times I've sung that song in my life. Like, if you just start saying like the first three numbers of the lottery tickets, black people will finish it and be like 45, 47, 750. Listen, it's 750, 750. Why you always opening my potato chips? Because I like potato chips. The first scene,
I
just
love
feel like
that store clerk
because people don't make it through
hates
the
him
whole
so
movie.
much. I love that. He's like, I fucking hate you.
But really, other than that, and the
We didn't even
black
mention
president
that the movie ends with the old ladies who help him skiing behind the boat. Oh my god, I love that so much, dude.
Also,
One
the
of the
fact
ladies
that he
call
was
him
only in
Poop
jail
Dog.
for 2 weeks. He was in poop.
Someone
dog.
calls him
He was
Poop
in jail
Dog.
for 2
And then
weeks.
remember, she steals condoms from the convenience store. She's like, "This is so I can get my freak on," and he's like,
Yeah.
Shake it fast.
Dude,
I like that he doesn't even
like
say
the-
shake your ass. He doesn't even do the uncensored version. He does the radio edit of Mystical to the old ladies. He knows that that's more their style.
He didn't want to scandalize them.
Yeah.
It felt like they had two old white ladies on set who were willing to say anything, and they're like, "Let's just try a couple things," and that's what they went with.
Yeah. Oh, I want to see the takes that didn't make it. I want to see the cutting room floor parts. I wonder how many times they did that. All right. So yeah, pop culture, Deep Blue Sea all the way. It's a classic, terrible blockbuster movie. Second, how well do these movies hold up?
You want to kick this one off, Leonard? I feel like there's more stuff in.
I feel like All About the Benjamins. I mean, it's just like there's just something about movies and anything that came out between like 2000 and 2005. You just know that's when it is.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
It's starting to feel like its own distinct era now that we've got enough distance, which is weird.
It's fucking wild. So
there's definitely a lot of misogyny that we see in our heroes that we're supposed to be like, these guys are cool. Like he's like, I get pussy. Look what I do. You will never get pussy, and I get pussy.
That's pussy. That's something you ain't never seen. You ain't never felt that before.
Yeah.
Like,
And I was like, all right, this is, and I like that Eva Mendes like is down for the objectification the whole time. She's just like loves to be.
And Mike Epps seems to want to
like
cash the lotto ticket so he can go to the club and cheat on her. There's a couple times where he mentions what he's going to do, and he's like, "You're going to see me in the club getting bitches." It's like, all right, like.
Also, the beginning where he just like slaps the woman, I'm like, damn, you didn't even do anything to the guy, and you just slapped the woman, and then he shoots him in the arm. I was like, okay, fine.
When he
it's cool that you
clotheslines
only
that
slapped
woman
her.
at the beginning of the movie, I knew that it was going to be a good time.
Oh yeah,
The first act of violence in the movie is Ice Cube
she was
clotheslining.
shooting a shotgun at
Yeah,
him,
it was
and they were
justified. It's
racist.
important we mention it's
No.
justified.
It was justified,
But
but
it
it
was
was
hilarious.
very funny that I'm like,
This movie,
'Cause Ice
All
Cube
About the
wrote
Benjamins
it.
just opens so wild, just like instant action, shooting like I can't believe this black dude is just going to some random trailer park in the Hicks and just like by himself.
I know.
And not expecting to get shot at by every white person.
He jumps
there.
out the window through a Confederate flag. I liked the.
I
image.
also he wears the same jersey the whole movie, and this movie does not take place in one day.
No.
This is a multiple
Yeah. No,
day
he-
journey that we're
Several
on
days.
here.
He changes clothes like one time, but he comes back to the jersey. That thing's just
Does
like
he?
when he
just
goes
classic.
when he goes in to meet the villain the first time, is he dressed differently? You're right. There is a
No.
time.
No,
where
he's no. He has a
He's wearing a
it's
Heat jersey
they
when he goes
finally-
into
Yeah, you're right.
making
Yeah,
up.
no, he's wearing a Heat jersey. The only time he changes his clothes is when they sleep at his house before going to the wife's house because he has on
Okay.
that like crazy blue button-up shirt when they go to the wife's house when she's
Yes.
dead. That whole scene is also wild and makes no
the
sense.
fish scene, like the them planting the seed of him being into fish. I'm like, why are they
Yes.
doing this? And then there's that moment where like he goes into that house and he sees like a fancy fish tank and he's like, oh, and then he gets knocked out. And then as I'm watching, I'm like, is that what they set it up for? Is that he would be distracted by like the lionfish in this tank, and then he gets knocked out, and it's like, no. There's another layer. There's another layer of his fish love, and it's that the diamonds are at the bottom of the fish tank, bitch.
But was he clocking that? Because I was unclear
No.
of that too. Because at the end they're like, we got to wipe our fingerprints. We got to look like we were never here. So they're like sweeping up pieces of vase. They break like 2 vases over the guy's head. So they're like taking the pieces. And then he goes, "There's this gun in the fish tank. We got to get it." And I guess there's like eels or something in the tank.
snakes? There's like
Snakes. It
fucking
looks like
water
just
snakes.
snakes.
There was too much life.
Yeah.
And I thought someone
in that
was
fucking-
going to have
there
to
was- it
put
was
their hand
crowded.
in. Like it's this movie,
Nope.
kind of like what you were saying about them just resolving the conflict 2 seconds after they have it.
Yes.
The movie is afraid of like letting conflicts breathe. So I wanted more from. I was like, someone's gonna have to put their hand in, and Mike
I
Epps is
thought
gonna
so
do an
too.
exaggerated. I'm being electrocuted by an
I
eel
know.
thing.
I was excited for that too. They're like, no, we're
Instead,
gonna
they
get right
missed that.
around
They
this.
just
no
don't
problem.
get the gun, and it seems like they get the diamonds by accident, like in trying to scoop out the evidence, which
He
is
was like,
the
"Oh,
gun.
you see that under the
they
gun?"
get the diamonds,
and
and
then
then
they
they
never
leave
get
the gun.
They never show them getting the gun. I was just like, "Wait, did they get the gun? What is happening?"
Who cares? They got diamonds. They
Oh,
can buy a
there's a
lawyer.
dead
to
their
get
woman
away.
in a
fingerprints
tub
are all
upstairs?
over that place too. It's too late. Like Mike Epps drank the fucking OJ out of the fridge.
He left
dude.
it
Like
on the
it's this.
thing. Yeah.
This woman, Mike Epps touched everything.
Mike
This
Epps
woman had
touched
full makeup
everything.
on, was fully dressed. This dude
Did Mike Epps
filled
put the
up
money
the tub
back?
and then
He still-
strangled
No,
her in the
I think he
tub.
kept it.
Like I don't. Her being strangled in the tub made no sense. It's also like 7 a.m. apparently. So it was just like, what is
Also, I
happening?
didn't,
Like,
That
I
woman
didn't
before.
get who. We'd never met that woman before,
She
and there
was-
was a
she
point where I
was
thought it
the-
was like Eva Mendes. I was like, for some reason, I'm like, is this someone that we've seen before early in the movie? And the answer is no.
She was the wife of the guy they shot in the beginning. She was the wife of the guy who had the diamonds, who brought him to the photo shoot. The old white man.
See, when did they shoot him?
Okay.
Because I didn't realize that. Because didn't he double cross them initially?
So there's definitely a red herring of like this mob boss is arriving at that photo shoot, and you're like, and it sets you up to think that this is going to be the bad guy in the movie. It's the director of the photo shoot who kills every person, and then the guy goes like, "You didn't need to kill every single person," and then that girl steps out and just like domes him.
Oh, she does kill him.
Bro.
Okay, because I like
She
shoots
for
him.
some reason.
The visceral shots of people getting shot in this movie, just like close up, like
I'm into it.
just like what is going on?
It's so stupid, but I think it has the thing that makes this a fairer fight than I originally thought is that I think it embraces, like, the fact that it was written by Ice Cube makes a lot of sense, but Mike Epps and Ice Cube are legitimately funny together, and so it makes this beat off of an action movie that he wrote for himself that much better, that you're like, are you out of your mind? That, you know, like, this makes no sense, but it's fun. It is fun, you know?
Yeah. We know Deep Blue Sea doesn't hold up in any regard.
I think it holds up well. I think you could watch it today, like the day it was made.
Deep Blue Sea is I'm gonna throw this word out, and this is like kind of messed up. Deep Blue Sea is a classic.
Thank you.
Oh,
I absolutely agree.
Deep Blue Sea is a classic, and I think it does a good, like, Deep Blue Sea is very fucking stupid. You're right. There's so many things that are just like, wait, what? You're asking us to believe that the sharks are smart enough to like grab, to like throw a guy underwater into a pressurized chamber, break it, get into doors, like pull flanking maneuvers. But then at the end of the movie where Thomas Jane's like, we're going to let go of these life preservers and it'll confuse the sharks.
Boy, does it.
No.
Yeah.
But do you remember that the sharks are super smart and can outsmart us at every turn? No.
What you guys didn't know, and I found out, was the people who built this facility are the same people who started the Fire Festival. So that's why that glass, like that, there is no way there is enough force underwater for a human being attached to a gurney to crack that fucking glass.
Do you know who that human being was? That we haven't even fucking mentioned? That was Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah.
the good character actor who, I don't know what he's doing in this movie. This movie has two actors of like repute that have like gone on to be nominated and win awards. It's Samuel L. Jackson and it's Stellan Skarsgård. And this movie's like, you're dead first, you're dead second. We need Thomas Jane to carry this piece. Thomas Jane and LL Cool J are big too. And I think only a truly bad movie would have the balls to just be like, you know, like I'm surprised Sir Ian McKellen wasn't in this movie just so that they could have him slip and fall off the side in the first 5 minutes. Like, they're just getting rid of the good actors and like, this movie's a bad movie. We need Thomas Jane front and center. Get out of here, Samuel L. Jackson. You're giving us too much prestige. Were they paying him by the minute? Why would you kill Samuel L. Jackson?
That's what I was just about to ask.
I don't think they had Sam Jam for like more than 2 days. Like
exactly. That's what I was about to say. They were like, we will give you 10 million or probably 8 million to film for a week. And they were like, and Samuel L. Jackson being Samuel L. Jackson was like, I mean, I would have done it for nothing. I'll be in any movie.
Yeah.
Like,
this was shades of, I'll get to it in my final argument. I'm sorry, Len. Let's move from does it hold? Well, unless you have a case why it doesn't hold up.
No. Was Steve Buscemi in either one of these
That's
films?
the most
he
important
played the
category
shark.
we do. He was the shark.
And he played the Kawasaki Wave Runner that knocked over the guys into the bay who again died. They died.
He's a
from that.
chameleon.
I think I just seen two men fall off, flying through the
Oh,
boat.
and that line felt so out of place too. Where I was like, "Why does Mike Epps need to have seen that? We don't need him to say that."
God. And then they never appear again.
No, they're dead. They
Like,
passed away right away as soon as they hit the water.
Steve Buscemi does not. Steve Buscemi could be Martinez. Like he could maybe be the PI boss instead. Like,
I would have liked
like
that.
a different version of that. Like I could see him in that in All About the Benjamins, and really that's about it. I feel like
Not a lot of parts for Steve Buscemi's in Ice Cube movies. I think in Deep Blue Sea, if he's not playing one of the sharks, I think he would have made a Stellan Skarsgård. I could see him getting thrown into the glass and cracking. I think that's about the level of Steve Buscemi. You're not going to put him in a wetsuit and have him run around for that whole movie. I think you kill him there. You have him play a scientist, and then he dies.
I think he could be Michael Rappaport.
Okay, Okay.
I think that would be kind of funny. Actually,
Yeah, he could do a good.
him
rep
just like
for it.
freaking out because Steve Buscemi's really good at like, especially back then, like being freaked out and like concerned. So and like him knowing all the stats, I feel like that role would have been best for him. And I just also realized that Michael Rappaport was in Next Friday as well.
It's shocking that Michael
Ice Cube
Rappaport, who is
bad
always the
movie.
guy
Yeah.
in primarily black movies who plays like the racist mailman, is not. He does not. Was he busy? Was he doing something? Why was he not in All About the Benjamins? It's
I
baffling.
know, right? For real.
Our category should be called "Was Michael Rappaport in this movie?" Let's move on to a couple stats, because for the best worst movie, I'm not sure how we interpret stats. Do we want it to do poorly? Do we want it to do well? I mean, I've got Deep Blue Sea pulled up, Leonard, but do you?
We already kind of talked about the budgets. The budget for All About the Benjamins, $15 million, and it made $26 million. Like,
Oh no,
black
it
people
was
went
a,
out in troves
it
to
was
see
a
this
hit.
movie. I can't.
It was a hit.
Yeah, it was a hit.
Yeah.
Like I mean, for real. Like I feel like it was on TV all the time. First of all, like back in the day, like it was a hit amongst the black people. I felt like, and I loved it. I always loved it as a kid. I obviously realized it's a terrible fucking movie, but you know, we all like our terrible movies. And let's see, its IMDb score is pretty bad.
It ramps up in how shitty it is at the end. Like it really is. If you watch the first half of both of these movies, it's not even a contest. But that last 30 minutes of All About the Benjamins, I was dying laughing by how fucking stupid it was. I was really into it by the end. I was like, all right, I see why you picked
5.9.
Yeah, these movies both. I
IMDb.
actually had that written down, Leonard. These movies both. I think it's perfect. Deep Blue Sea and All About the Benjamins both have a 5.9 on IMDb.
Nice. You know what's also funny? That we know they're both terrible movies. They both were available for free on Tubi. They're both on Tubi. I watched both of them on Tubi for free. Thank God I didn't have to pay for either.
I
one of
paid
these
for All
movies.
About the Benjamins. I didn't realize that.
Here's the
Damn it.
thing.
Oh.
I saw that it was for free. All right. And then I thought,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter because my fiance's credit card is hooked up to our Apple TV. So I rented it for $4. I rented All About the Benjamins for $4. And then my neighbor said, "Do you want to get a beer?" I said, "Hey man, I'm watching All About the Benjamins right now." And he goes, "Oh yeah?" And he's like, "That's free. You know you." And then he sent me a text of him pulling it up on his TV for free.
Why did he know that off the top of his head? He was like, that free movie, All About the Benjamins?
He right away was like, "Oh, you can watch All About the Benjamins for free. Right here. I have it pulled up." And I was like, "Sorry, man. I got to watch All About the Benjamins."
Leonard, is Cube your
And,
favorite actor?
Honestly, Ice Cube is like probably. I'm not a really big like. This is my hero, or I like.
Well, you're
look up.
putting the
I
H
don't-
word. All right.
No, I don't give a fuck about other people or celebrities or like looking up to people. That's never been a thing for me. I don't know why. I don't care about that. We're all humans. But Ice Cube is someone I would love to like. Ice Cube is just a man. He started out as a fucking rapper. You know, he started writing his own scripts. He like was in Boys in the Hood, started doing all these great movies. He's in fucking family movies. He can be a gangster.
Yes.
He has his own fucking basketball league. He's always been like true to himself.
He's
like,
done it all.
generally, like love Ice Cube. He's
And
the fucking
I was surprised how funny he was in this movie. I was like, Ice Cube is funny in this. He has a couple moments. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but I did. He had me giggling.
They're in
I was
there,
like-
though.
I was like,
They're for sure in there.
He's got some good lines.
Between next Friday. I love Next Friday, and I love Friday. It's Friday. First Friday really doesn't hold up that well anymore. But
sorry, I'm a Friday after next guy. I like to see Cat Williams get raped in a bathroom for an entire movie.
Oh my god.
For literally the entire duration of a film.
He has his fucking balls in a vice grip to get him off him. 30% for All About the Benjamins on Rotten Tomatoes, and then 87% for the Google users.
The all-important Google users. We've established black movies get hit much harder by critics, especially around this time. They're like so dismissed. 30%.
Comedies do, you know? Anything
Comedies
that can
as
be-
well.
Comedies
Yeah.
don't ever get reviewed. There's no comedy that has a good Rotten Tomatoes. They get eviscerated.
No, it's true. 30%. Does that feel low to you, Leonard? I mean, it's not a
That
well-made
feels pretty
film.
fucking
I mean,
low.
you can.
It's pretty low.
It felt
I
high
think,
to
and
me.
If I remember,
It felt
Yeah.
high to me. I was surprised that it had 30% like critic reviews that were like, "This is good."
Rotten Tomatoes for Deep Blue Sea, funnily enough, syncs up perfectly with IMDb, 59%, and it's 5.9 on IMDb. That seems about right, and that to me is like on IMDb. I don't know how often people still use it, but to me, it's like a movie is in the good range if it's got a 6, and then like 7 and above, it's like these are like great movies or classics or whatever. And obviously, IMDb is not the end all be all, but like 5.9 is seems exactly right. We can't give it a 6 because it's not actually good,
Here's
but
the thing.
it's good bad, and so
Yeah,
we're not going to give it a 1.
There's definitely some bad stick out moments in Deep Blue Sea, but like if you chart it out of like an action movie, it's got all those fun set pieces of the waters
beats.
rising. It's got the cracking thing. It's got a lot of moments in it that are like, if you didn't watch the plot of the movie and realize how stupid the plot was, there's a lot of legitimately fun, big budget action movie scenes in it that are like actually good. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And this was a hit. To go back to the stats of it all, let's just say it cost $80 million because we don't know exactly how much. It made $165 million, Deep Blue Sea. So this was, and I remember at the time, even though I couldn't see it, it was a hit. It was like a big summer movie. It was a big, stupid shark movie that I think accomplished everything it set out to accomplish. And I don't know, this isn't really the category to talk about it in, but I want to mention it. The thing of like people dying, the Ned Stark Game of like kill a character early when you don't think that you might. I'm not going to say it invented it, but this is like the first time in my kind of pop culture consciousness that I remember it being like, and then they just off. I mean, maybe Drew Barrymore screamed,
Drew Barrymore
but it's like
screamed.
they just off this character, and it was like still had a lot of shock value. Now you see stuff like that, and you're like, I bet this big A-list actor who's in this movie might go early. Like, it wasn't a trope at that point.
No, the fact that they did kill Drew Barrymore is like obviously surprising, but the more surprising thing is that she was like the face of the marketing campaign.
That was what was so genius about it. Yeah, because she was the biggest name.
That was great.
They literally only
what was
had
the
her
what
for
was
one
the Rotten
day.
Tomato?
Yeah,
what was the Rotten Tomato
that's one
for,
location.
What was the Rotten Tomato for Deep Blue Sea?
Rotten Tomatoes was 59%.
Oh, 59.
And 5.9 on IMDb.
And 59.
And you want the Google users? I think it's 84%. But that's the other 16 are afraid of sharks.
They made a Deep Blue Sea 2 and 3.
I cannot speak to the
And-
sequels. I haven't seen them.
Deep Blue Sea. There's 2 more of them. When I was like looking up to watch it last night and yesterday, and I saw on Rotten Tomatoes like Deep Blue Sea 3 has like something like a 14 or like 20%. Deep Blue Sea 2 has a 0% or something like that. It was crazy.
I feel like a Deep Blue Sea 2 or 3 might have been more in line with my taste, because my problem with the competition head to head is that the more I was like going back and watching clips from Deep Blue Sea just to like refresh my memory, because I've seen it a million times, but I was like, dude, Deep Blue Sea is legitimately good. that was my actual problem with it. I was like, dude, the more I watch it, the more like Deep Blue Sea is good. Deep Blue Sea is too good.
Well,
I think this leads us into our
let's go
closing statements, Leonard. Yeah.
Closing statements. I went last time, so I'll go first this time. And my argument is going to be: listen, give Ice Cube a break, man. He's out here trying to work. He's trying to get paid. He wrote this script, and this is literally, like you said, like someone in their senior year of film school is like, I'm going to write this script, or someone who's like, I'm a rapper and do what I want, and this is what I want in a movie, and it's going to happen. There's no true like the storyline makes no sense.
No sense.
Details left out.
It makes less sense as the movie goes on.
It makes no sense. Details are left out. Some of the acting is very bad, but overall, it's a fun experience. Mike Epps and Ice Cube together are great together. They have their moments. They make it enjoyable. But honestly, you really don't have any kind of motivation for any of the characters to feel any type of way about any of these characters. It's all over the place. It's just overall a bad film. Very stuck in the early 2000s, but I think it's fun. I think you're going to laugh, and I think at the end, you're going to enjoy yourself. Get a little high, hang with some friends, have a couple brews, watch this movie, and it's a bad film. I feel like Deep Blue Sea also obviously is a very bad film, but I feel like comparing these two, you have a lot more fun with All About the Benjamins. Also, they say the name of the movie like 2 or 3 times in the
there's
movie.
definitely some titular line drops in All About the Benjamins, and it seems like Ice Cube told the DP to like zoom in on his face when he says it. He's like, when I say it, I need you to do a tight zoom on my face, just so everybody knows I'm saying the name of the movie.
Yeah, got to get it in. That's my argument, Quinn. That's you.
All right. So I'd never seen All About the Benjamins before you assigned it to me, Leonard. And I was like, it's going to be hard for this little-known Ice Cube movie to be better than, in my opinion, the best, worst movie of all time, which is Deep Blue Sea. And then I saw Ice Cube in the first 2 minutes repeatedly tasing in the balls a white supremacist bail bouncer who he had met up with, and I knew that I was facing a formidable opponent. I just
want to say this one part
right.
I forgot to say. Them shooting the white dude at the end, the villain, like just 6-7 shots of him just like falling in the water.
Speaking of
Amazing.
Scream, it's
All
the
right,
ending
I'm
of
done.
Scream where they just
I'm
load
done.
up. You think he's dead, and then they just load him out of that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I literally forgot that he came back.
He comes back. He comes back.
So like he broke his neck, and they're like, "Broke your neck, idiot." And then, oh yeah, and then Mike Epps is funny when he's shot. He's like, "I'm gonna die." He's like, "You're fine. Shut up. You're fine."
They just got you in the arm. So I see your Ice Cube, and I raise you Ladies Love Cool James with a parrot. I think in any bad movie, you need an actor, a rapper who is trying to act, and I think both of our movies tick that box. I think there's like a number of reasons. I mean, I'll just run through like what makes it. It's interpretation of the prompt is what it comes down to, Leonard. I think you have successfully argued what makes All About the Benjamins a bad movie. We've talked about the things that we like about it. I don't think those things in my mind are as in sync I don't think it's bad because they're trying to make it bad. And I don't think when it's good that they recognize why it's good to keep doing it. This is like a weird gumbo of a movie that just has all these elements, and the bad outweighs the good for me. I think Deep Blue Sea is the best, worst movie as I would think about it when I was thinking about the prompt, because it's a B movie. This movie is never going to be good. Like, they're trying to cure Alzheimer's by making sharks super smart and big. They cast a bunch of like B movie actors, but then some prestige actors to discard with immediately before they can really have an impact on the film to truly elevate it. The key scene, like this thesis of the movie, is the Samuel L. Jackson scene. We're going to have this big rousing speech. Nope, he's killed by a shark. Michael Rappaport is in this movie. You know it's a bad movie if he's in it. But what has Luke been coming back to, which I'm so glad you feel the same way that I do, is like there's also a thing about this movie. If it's on TV, which I don't go channel surfing that much anymore, but if I see it streaming, I gotta watch it. I gotta watch it from whatever part, because it is so accessible. And it's a bad movie. The script is bad. The direction is not particularly good. There's a bunch of stupid scenes, right? But it's the best bad movie because, goddamn, do I need to watch that thing, and do I like it? Like, this is like Daniel versus the Lion is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, but I remember it, and I think about that sometimes when I'm in moments of stress. I'm just saying LL Cool J lines. There's something about it. It's having the same effect on me as would a good movie.
In our own oven.
It's something, and what could be a better thing? Like, Jaws is a great movie. It's a classic. It elevates this. It wasn't a genre before, but it created a genre that could only ever come with bad movies. I went and saw The Meg in theaters because I was chasing the high. I didn't want to miss out on the next Deep Blue Sea. I was chasing the high of like a really bad shark movie that I like, even though it's stupid, and it just can't get me there. Nothing is like that first hit. And that first hit for me was being a kid staying up on TNT and watching Deep Blue Sea so that I could see what all the fuss was about. And I was like, God damn, this is my favorite bad movie. And I didn't even have to think about this prompt. When I saw that that's what we were doing, I was like, Deep Blue Sea, let's go. Because I think it is so clearly the best bad movie. That's all I have to say about it. And I think those are both of our arguments. Luke, if you want to weigh in on it, or if you have your decision, the floor is yours. Thank you for watching both
Tell
of
us
them.
how you feel
So-
and what you thought about this prompt and how you felt, and give us your
Absolutely. I want to break it down. Before I do so, I'd love the parameters to be explained to me that there is a punishment, right? If whoever does not win, right? Isn't there a...
So through the overall season, we should probably start talking about, we're getting halfway through the season. We usually come up with a punishment towards the end of the season, but yeah, usually it's watching a film that we both hate or don't like, we refuse to watch. I think we might get a little bit more extreme with these punishments. I don't know.
We go round by round. If we think of them as seasons, this is like round 4. Len?
3.
4.
Season 3.
Season 3. Well, now we're getting our analysis. Basically, whoever wins this one, it's like best. It's a best
4.
of 9.
Week 4.
Whoever wins
Yes.
this sort of thing. So yeah, this is ultimately building towards a punishment. This decision, thankfully for me, because I'm behind, will not determine who's going to necessarily have the punishment. Like neither of us is at the KO point. But if the first 1 to 5 successful picks gets to assign a punishment,
right now.
I recently had to watch.
I shouldn't have told you.
I've recently had to watch Twilight. The first time you lost the first season, Leonard, you had to watch Green Lantern. And we try to dress it up a little bit more so you're not just watching a movie anonymously, but we try to pick our weak spots. You knew I would hate Green Lantern is Leonard's favorite superhero, and he never wanted to watch the Ryan Reynolds version because it would taint it for him.
And I bet it did. He was telling me about that. It hurt. It hurt.
But we haven't determined what the season 3 specifically punishment will be in terms of like what movie I'm going to make you watch, what movie you're going to make me watch, Leonard. So
yeah,
so that's where we're at on the punishment part of it.
I feel like this is a lane that I like a lot. I like to watch bad movies. I like to watch White Chicks. I like to watch Gremlins 2. I like to watch, you know what I mean? I like to watch, and then I'm talking like I dig. I go deep into some like real bad ones, right? And like some old like 70s like what in God's name? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The way I'm weighing this is I'm coming into this with I've seen Deep Blue Sea a million times, right? So I'm like, yeah. I've seen Deep Blue Sea. I saw it first as a kid, renting it at Blockbuster. And for years, like as a kid, there was not even a single drip of me that was like, this is bad. I like, it wasn't until I was an adult rewatching it that I was like, oh yeah, this is so stupid. You know, like just like the premise is so stupid and there's like giant leaps in logic. But I'm like, I think it's messed up that I'm saying this, but it's like Deep Blue Sea is a great action movie. It is a great, like to me, it's hard for me to be like, it's awesomely bad because I'm like, I think it's legitimately good. But the thing is, I also have to remember that I like bad things. And I'm like, okay, no, it is bad. It is bad. He's throwing a Zippo lighter. He's being cooked in it. You know what I mean? Like
that was such a good throw. He had one.
They light water on fire multiple times in that movie.
Oh, there's so much dumb shit in that movie. But for me, it's like comparing like All About the Benjamins is a new shiny toy to me. I'd never seen this movie before. So I'm watching this with virgin eyes, enjoying it get worse by the minute. And I did appreciate that the movie was fun. Like Epps and Ice Cube are really fun. And as the minutes tick on, the less sense it makes, and it culminates in a spectacular like hate watch in the last 20 minutes that and the fact that I didn't know that Ice Cube wrote it while I was watching it, I think I would have enjoyed it even more, like watching how masturbatory it is that for Ice Cube to write all this stuff for himself to do, because it makes no sense. Like there were multiple points where I thought I had missed something, or I was like, who is this to the plot? Why is this? It's just asinine. And it's comparing a classic car to, you know, to a new Maserati in my eyes, of like, this is a piece of shit. These are both from a very similar time in movies too, like 99 and 2002. This lane is definitely like, these are the kinds of movies that came out at this point. And it's really hard for me to pick a winner between these two. Genuinely, I'm like, because if I'm picking a movie that I want to immediately like watch again because I think it's entertaining and good, I would pick Deep Blue Sea because it's a better movie. It's a good movie. But am I picking one to be like, hey, we got to watch this because it's like so hilariously bad, which I think is the prompt. I think I would go All About the Benjamins. But here's the thing. The part of the problem is it's because I think Deep Blue Sea is too good.
You know,
it's good, dude. Deep Blue Sea is a good movie.
Pick the worst movie, and I believe I did.
Shackled to my own success. Leonard's lighting a victory joint.
I do. I think I want to see All About the Benjamins again, knowing now that Ice Cube wrote it, because it makes it that much more like, what is going on?
What is happening? It makes it make a lot more sense when you're watching it. Like, okay.
Ugh.
Ice Cube was just like, I'm sorry.
It's gonna be a short season, man. I'm down now 3-1. I cannot fault that logic. And when you're talking bad movies, it can go either way on you. You know.
And that's the thing is, I think when you gave me the 2 movies, I was like, there's no way that I'm gonna have as much fun, because I'm like, Deep Blue Sea is fun. Deep Blue Sea is like, there's so much fun stuff in it, but
I do not find myself wanting to watch All About the Benjamins again, Leonard. I feel like you're just, you look at. I can't even look at you right now, man. I'm going to turn off your Zoom screen.
All About the Benjamins is so fun too, though, dude. It's a horrible piece of shit movie.
It's a terrible movie, but it's so much fun. Mike Epps is just a funny fucking person. There's really, if Mike Epps wasn't in that movie,
you can't make that movie if Mike Epps isn't in the movie.
No fucking studio was allowing that movie.
I'd like to see Ice Cube and Saffron Burrows have a buddy cop comedy and just watch the charisma void that is that movie.
Saffron Burrows, I think, is what makes, like, I think if you put someone else playing that part in, someone with like any charisma or on-screen chemistry with any of the other people in Deep Blue Sea, I think that Deep Blue Sea is remembered as like a legitimately good movie.
Yeah.
She's just really bad in it. She makes it a bad movie.
She thinks she's in a serious movie.
There's
no tongue in cheek.
Yeah,
there's no tongue in cheek. It's
bad movie.
I think that's
bad episode for Quinn.
Because LL Cool J gives so much fun to the movie, and the fact that his subplot is like almost completely independent of everything else that's happening in the movie, I think is the big shining star that Deep Blue Sea that makes Deep Blue Sea a bad movie. You know.
His subplot is the same as everyone else's, but he's black. It's like everyone else's. The subplot is survive, right. But it's just like, I'm black and I'm trying to survive.
So you're talking about drinking, getting high, watching a movie or whatever. And next time anyone on this podcast, hopefully we've inspired some. But if you're rewatching Deep Blue Sea, take a shot, do a shot every time Thomas Jane falls down, because once the water starts creaking into that bit, he's just in like slow-mo shots, like water's flooding in. He falls down. You'll die. I don't know that you'll get to the end if all the times Thomas Jane just slips in his little wetsuit, sliding all over the
and then
facility.
He slides across as like the divots or like the screws are popping out.
You can tell he thought it was badass. He's like, I'm going to do a slide on this one.
Yeah.
I'm like, so intense.
Yeah, that was
stand
funny.
on your feet, dude.
We also didn't even mention the fact that LL Cool J's character just started drinking. He was like, fuck it. The Lord told me to start drinking. This is this.
And he has a hatchet for some reason. Also, they have a break the glass, get a shotgun out situation.
Oh, okay.
Why do they have a shotgun and a break glass in case of emergency?
In case it gets flooded by sharks.
Yeah.
I think that's a classic bad movie trope too. Just like the broken glass. Like it started with All About the Benjamins, him going through the breaking glass. And there's another part where I think someone breaks the glass in Deep Blue Sea. And I'm like, where he gets the hatchet and it's like, your arm would be covered in blood. He just like go full forearm into broken glass,
which might have been interesting because sharks can track blood. Like for your movie.
I know that's what
I didn't even. I hinted it, but the scene alone where Michael